Hello everybody and welcome on today's video. Today's work is gonna be on this tree. It's an air layer that I made, well, 5 or 6 years ago from the mother plant, which is my tree trunk Chinese juniper. And well, it's rooted quite well. It has good foliage. I tried to put it in this position because that's how the air layer came out. And well, I had this strange branch here, which was just 3 branches at the time. I had this strange bend here, so I thought I'm going to make it a cascade one day. So I've been planting it in an angle now, and well, it's not really stable in this spot, and I've been tilting it every year just a little so that the roots start to grow down. So these roots are, well, they're dying off, of course, well, because they are in the air now, but the tree is still okay. So I think maybe now it is time to put it in a better pot and start the work on this cascade. So I'm going to show you the pots. So this is the pot I have in mind. It's a shell pot. I bought it from a guy that made them. He's called Jill. You see, he signs his pots and he has a stamp in it. It's absolutely not expensive to buy a pot from this guy. He just makes them because he likes to make this, and I was very lucky to buy this one. As you see, it has no little feet, but here we have a little excavation to put the wire in so that it is possible to tighten the tree, which is something I not do most of the time, but I think that this time it's gonna be necessary. So I'm just going to get the tree out of the pot and then see how we should position it here in the new one. Okay, before I do that, I'm going to prepare the pot. So I have a little screen here. It's just some kind of bug net, and then I'm going to insert a piece of wire. Okay, and this will be more than enough to fix the tree. Okay, so now let's have a look on this tree. As was to be expected, most of these roots, well, they don't do anything. Then it's not coming through the drainage screen, so this tree really is not pot bound, but anyway, I'm going to get him out and see how I can replant this. Well, it's not coming out easily, so probably it's growing into the screens. Yes, it is. Whoa. Now that's a solid root mat. These are the little screens. They are completely surrounded by the roots. So this shows why moss can be important, because we don't have a whole lot of roots here, and that's because this part of the root ball dries out very quickly. Well, it's just going to be a question of untangling these roots now and try to get as much of these roots into the new pot. Looks like this tree is, well, happily growing, so Just going to open this up as much as I can and then see if I have to cut something. But if I can take the biggest part of the root ball with me, I'm going to do that, because the new container is a whole lot bigger. And this tree does not really need a repot. But I have healthy roots on every spot, so that's good. So I'm going to untangle this, maybe give it a little wash to see what's going on exactly, and then I will be back. I do not really intend to wire and shape this tree at this point, but I'd like to have him in a good spot in the pot. So I'm not sure. Well, anyway, if you want to cascade, it has to come this way, like so, a little to the viewer, or in the opposite way, which is also nice. Because I have 3 branches here, one can become a little informal upright, the other can become a side branch, and the other can become a back branch or counterbalance branch. So it's going to be a question of trying to find the best possible angle. So this I like. I have a little hole here, a little wound, which might become a little feature. This is a strong branch. On the other side, what do I have here? Well, here the second trunk is coming a little more to the viewer, which is not bad. I have a good distribution of green everywhere, so it does not really matter. I don't know. Anyway, because this is the side where it will have to go, I could choose to come to this side of the pot, or this side, and that is what's going to be the difference between choosing one side or another. But for the meantime, I can just try to put it over the centerpiece here, so that will be an acceptable compromise before I style the tree. So I'm going to put the wires through the root ball, and I see that this tree should come a little higher in the pot. Yeah, so I'm going to add a whole lot more of this stuff. And I think this is a whole lot better. Okay, like so. And now I'm going to tie this tree into this pot. Even though I'm blocking the view, I'm sorry, but yeah, this is going to be some kind of handy day, dropping everything today. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is get all these roots, because you see I did not cut a whole lot. I'm going to try to put them in this pot, try to distribute this, and then fill this up with soil, so that the tree has a good base to grow. A lot of junipers don't have nice roots, because it's difficult to untangle it and then they die back and things like that. But I'm going to try to save as much as I possibly can. So maybe plant a little more in the front, and open up this root ball and plant it, filling this up with good draining substrate. So I'll be back in a few seconds. So the more I've been working here, the more I'm convinced that this is a good front. As you see, I overdid it a little with the soil because, well, now it's just a question of working it in. And I mounted it up dramatically. But you see, when I push it down, it creates gigantic gaps, and then of course the soil gets deeper and deeper, and this whole mountain might eventually disappear into this pot. It always amazes me how much soil can go into a pot. That's why I use a tray all the time, because this way I can make a complete mess of everything. And then I just have to take the soil back and put it in my bucket or in my bag. So why did I choose this as a front? Well, the thickest part here has a curve that comes through the viewer, so and then it bends back. But this is not a problem, because of course we are supposed to wire this tree one day. And then this little guy here is just a little in the front. It also comes to the viewer, but it does not really matter. Because this will has to be wired also. But the thickest part is making the best curve. So this is what I'm planning to use as a front. But of course this is not definitive. And our first concern is to have this tree grow well and happily. That's why I'm not going to do any wiring today. It's just a repot, and it took me 2 years to have this inclination on this tree, and I think that's an important thing today. I have a lot of roots now pointing in the right direction, and now I can do this, well, rather delicate repotting. So I'm going to finish this. Pots like this are always a little strange because, well, they don't have a defined rim, so you can be sure that everything is going to be flushed away on sides like this. So it's better to prevent that. There's no use putting soil that is going to disappear with the first watering, so it's no use to put all that soil in. Looks cool, of course. It's very appropriate for this style, but these are the little things we should have in mind. And it's also good to always have a centimeter or a half centimeter to the rim of the pot, because otherwise the water will be flushed away over the pot and not stay in the pot. Okay, so maybe I'm going to do something about the mossing now. But first of all, I'm going to water this tree. So of course moss serves different purposes, and there are different ways to apply it. You can take little pieces of moss and make some powder of it and put it over the surface. Then you get a nicely spread and even a moss carpet, which is nice. But here you see I have some difficulties of getting these roots flat. and I'd like to have every root growing. So I have here my little moss reserve. These are just unused bonsai pots for the season, and there I plant pieces of moss. I keep it fairly wet, and so now I can it is important that it is wet, because if it is not wet, it will not mold itself in the right shape. So I'm just going to apply a few of these different moss types to put over the roots that will not stay in place otherwise. And this is going to help also keeping the soil a little more in position till it fixes itself. This is a gentle way of pushing the roots down. And maybe just one here for the color, and just one here for the color. Okay, so I plan to keep this tree in the shadow for at least a week, because I want the moss to grow well, and I want the tree to recover, and that's not a good idea to put him in full sun. Just adding a little parts of soil between the moss pads now. Just a little here. Okay. This is a stump of a tree roots that I found on the garbage somewhere years ago. It has this nice texture now. It's so bursting, and of course I had to do quite a lot of, well, gin making, and because it's been standing out for a few years now, it has started to get this nice old looking texture, and it makes it a nice little table to put a tree on, and especially a cascade or a semi-cascade. So let's see if this does the trick. Yeah, I think it looks acceptable. Maybe a little zoom, little bit. Oh, that's a lot of zoom. Okay. Let's try this a little better. Okay. So this is what it looks like. Okay, I hope the tree grows well. That's the plan. And if it grew well, if I have a significant growth, then I can maybe start to wire it and shape it in the fall. So that's basically it for today. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.